Hey guys, so I have a big life update, actually two. So you can see like my gown and my stole back there. I graduated nursing school this month, and right before that, actually 2 days before that, I got engaged. So I've decided that I want to do a wedding series. So I've kind of been doing a ton of research, and I found a lot of really helpful videos and tips and tricks and books to go through and read. Basically, just so you kind of know like the process of wedding planning. I'm the youngest in my family. Well, I'm like one of the three youngest ones. We were all born in basically like the same, like a 6-month period. So I don't have any Western family really. Most of my family is Indian, so their weddings are all Indian weddings, and I've never actually been to an American wedding, so I wasn't really sure what the process was of planning and all that. So I got a couple books that I found to be super helpful, and a magazine, specifically The Knot. I've gotten a couple of their magazines now, and I've been reading through those, and it's been super helpful. So I've decided to do this series and kind of just maybe month by month kind of update you guys on what I've been doing, what things I found that are helpful, kind of my expectations versus reality of this whole planning thing, because like I said, I've never seen a Western wedding and I don't really know what goes into it exactly. I also think I'm going to name this series From Yes to I Do, but it's not really that catchy, so I don't know if I'm going to stick with it. I've seen a couple other like really catchy names or series titles, but I don't really want to like take someone else's title. I kind of want to be original. I mean, at least I haven't seen anyone whose series was From Yes to I Do. So I think I may stick with that. I don't know. But if I do end up changing it, I'll definitely let you guys know. So in case you want to look me up or whatever, I'll have it in a video just basically saying I've changed it to this. So if you want to look it up, you can find it another way. If you want to keep watching these and kind of stay updated with me on my process, don't forget to subscribe down below. So today's video is basically going to be our story. Kevin is a very private person, so he doesn't really want to be on camera, so it's just going to be me, unfortunately, kind of telling our story. So I'm just going to start off with basically telling you how we met, and then kind of transition into how he ended up proposing. Kevin and I met in high school. He was a senior and I was a junior. We had a lot of the same friends, but neither of us had really ever met. My dad was very strict when I was younger, and I wasn't really allowed to go out much, so I didn't have the opportunity to meet as many people as he did. But like I said, we'd heard a lot about each other through our mutual friends. The day that we met, both of us had the same art teacher, but we had different periods. Neither of us had finished a project that was due, so we both had to go in during our free period and go finish a project. He was sitting next to one of our friends, and I walk in, and I didn't really like notice him at first, but I went and said hi to my friend, and that's when I noticed him, and I thought he was really cute. He was really tall, handsome, and muscular, but so I ended up sitting down at my table, and I was just starting to work on my project, and he came over and tried to talk to me, and the way that he stood, it was so cute. Like, he was so awkward, and he made it a point to try and come over and talk to me. He doesn't say he was awkward, but in my opinion, like, I was the one he was trying to talk to, and I thought he was being awkward, so he was being awkward. Not like in a weird way, but it was like kind of obvious that he was making a point to try and talk to me, which I thought was really cute. So we ended up talking for a little bit about our projects or whatever, and then I ended up like finishing what I needed to do. Next day I think I had art during like second or third period. So I had started on a new project, or maybe it was the same project, I don't remember. And again, I didn't work during my normal like class hours because I wanted to go in during my free period and finish it, just hoping that Kevin was going to be there. And fortunately, he basically did the same exact thing. He goofed off all class and came in during sixth period to finish his project, hoping that he would see me. And we did that for a couple of days, and we kind of got to know each other a little bit better. And then one day, kind of basically to like hint, hint, wink, wink, like, I think you're cute. I came in and his back was turned to me when I came in, and I hugged him from behind, and he thought that was really cute, because I hadn't really hugged him before. So, I don't know, in high school, like, little things like that, I guess, are cute, and kind of, I don't know, like, flirting or whatever. If you hear me sniffling a lot, it's because I'm just getting over a cold, so also if my voice is weird, I apologize. I've been sick for like a week and I'm just now getting over it. I think that day Kevin ended up dropping me off at home. I didn't need a ride home, but I told my mom not to pick me up because I wanted him to give me a ride home. I wanted to spend a little bit more time with him. What was kind of funny though is our mutual friend that was sitting next to him in 6th period was into him as well, and I didn't know that at the time, like, at all. I had asked her about Kevin, and she basically just said, like, don't go for him, he's too nice for you, you're gonna break his heart. And I was like, okay, thanks. I was like, that's kind of rude, but alright. And then, like, later on when I ended up telling Kevin that, like, wait, months later, he was like, nope, she's definitely into me, that's why she told you that. I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. Kevin actually ended up driving her home as well, but he dropped me off first. So it kind of sucked that, like, I wanted him to drive me home, just the two of us, so we could have a little bit of time together, but it ended up being where the other girl was in the car. After that, the next day, I think we kind of, like, ran into each other at lunch or like, break or something like that, and he asked me for my number and said, hey, let's go to lunch one day. I was a junior, so I wasn't really supposed to be going off campus, but basically if you walk off campus with a bunch of seniors, at my high school, they didn't really say anything. It was only when you were trying to walk off by yourself. And there's always ways that you can get off campus. So I gave him my number, and I was basically, like, waiting for him to text me to see when we would go to lunch. Kevin didn't end up actually texting me for a while. One of the other guys that we were going to go to lunch with texted me, and he was like, hey, so what are the lunch plans? Where are we going? Who's driving? And I was like, well, I don't know. Kevin hasn't texted me. He was like, well, why don't you text him? I was like, I don't have his number. Tell him to text me. And it had been like 3 days since Kevin had texted me. And I was like, or since Kevin had asked for my number. And I was like, I don't think this is normal for a guy to wait 3 days. So at first I thought he was really into me. And he asked me for my number, which was kind of like a positive sign and kind of confirming that he thought I was cute. And then it took him 3 days to text me, and I had to have a friend tell him to text me. So it put a lot of doubt in my head. He texted me and asked where I wanted to go to lunch. I was like, yeah, whatever. Doesn't really matter, just somewhere close, because we only had half an hour for lunch. So we ended up going to Subway, and we had lunch together with a couple other people, and it was like no big deal. And like the craziest thing was this all happened like during his last, I think, like, week at my high school, because the seniors at my high school got like seniors week. So at the end of the year, their last year in school, they were able to go out and do a bunch of fun stuff, fun senior stuff. I mean, they had to pay for all of it, and it was through the school, but he ended up not paying to go to that, so I actually got an extra week with him. He didn't have to come to class or anything, so the seniors were all done with their classwork, but because he didn't go on any of the senior stuff, he ended up asking me on an actual date, and I wasn't sure if it was a date between the two of us or if it was like a let's just hang out type of thing. So I asked him, like, oh, hey, are you bringing anyone? Because I didn't want it to be super awkward, him bring like a friend and then me be expecting that it's a one-on-one date, and it wasn't. So I asked him, are you bringing anyone? He was like, no. If you want, you can bring Chelsea. And I was like, oh no. But he was basically thinking the same thing. Like, he didn't know if I was asking because I didn't want to go on a one-on-one date with him, or whether I was asking because I was just making sure that it was just going to be the two of us. So I said, no, let's just, go on a date, the two of us. So we ended up going to a local like restaurant called Islands, and we had some chicken strips and Dr. Pepper. Both of us ordered the exact same thing, except I ordered my drink with no ice because I just don't like drinks that have ice in them. It's too cold, and I feel like you can't taste whatever the drink is as well, or as much. And this actually kind of became like an inside joke for us like later, the fact that both of us ordered the exact same thing for the exact same reason. So both of us wanted burgers, but neither of us ordered the burgers because we thought it was too messy to be eating on a first date. But what really like touched my heart and what really like got me, I don't know, like falling head over heels for him was he was so sweet. Oh my gosh, like I've never had a guy be so nice to me. And he like walked in when he came to pick me up. So I was still in school. He came to pick me up and he walked into our art class, and he was wearing a black shirt with like another black shirt on top of it that was like a button up with short sleeves, and he had like doused himself in cologne, or at least what seemed like he'd doused himself in cologne. I don't know how much he put on, but it smelled like pretty strong. So you could tell that he was really trying to like impress me. And it was cute because our art teacher kind of just saw us like meet in her class and then, you know, go on our first date basically. So when he picked me up, he opened the car door for me, and then he opened all the other doors when we got into the restaurant, and then when we were leaving, and basically opened the car door again to let me back into the car. And it was so awkward and so like embarrassing. So my jeans that I was wearing that day had little buttons on the butt pockets, and as I got into his car has leather seats and they have like really thick stitching, and as I went to sit down, it like caught on the stitching and made like a really weird sound that kind of sounded like a fart. So I like paused and I was like, I swear that wasn't me. That was the chair. That was my pants on the chair. And he was like, no, it's okay. I trust you. I don't think that was either. That happens sometimes. Because he has jeans like that, so he kind of understood. So my camera actually overheated while I was recording this, so I'm going to try and speed this up, and I'm actually going to separate how we met and our engagement story into two totally separate videos. I know the how we met, I'm saying a little bit more than actually how we met, but I don't know, I thought it would be kind of cute to kind of give the little backstory before, you know, the whole rest of the relationship. I ended up going to the local park. I don't want to say like where exactly we went, just, you know, for privacy reasons, but we went to the local park and kind of just walked around there for a while, and then we sat down on a bench and we were talking for quite a while. I ended up actually holding his hand while we were walking, and it was kind of embarrassing, but my hands got like super sweaty because I was so nervous. But luckily his got super sweaty as well because it was just, you know, all together like a hot day in California. So we ended up like stop holding hands, and it wasn't like super weird and, you know, like, oh well, he doesn't want to hold my hand because I'm so sweaty, or maybe he's just not into me and I grabbed his hand when I shouldn't have, you know, I don't know, whatever. But so we were talking for a while at one of the benches, and then we ended up going to my favorite coffee shop afterwards, talked a bit there as well, and then we went back to our high school, and he picked up his graduation stuff, and then he dropped me off at home. And it was a very long first date, and it wasn't like anything fancy, but it was like the best first date that I'd ever been on because he was such a gentleman and he was so sweet and so kind to me that it's crazy to think that I can even remember so much of the date. Like, there's so much detail that I haven't said, but I don't want to bore you guys. Like, this isn't your relationship. You don't really care to hear about all that, I'm sure. But yeah, so it was really cute, very sweet, and yeah, that's basically how our relationship has been from then until now, and now we've been dating for 5.5 years, and we're engaged. So that's going to complete my how we met kind of story for today. And like I said, I'm going to do this whole little like wedding series where I'll probably post like once a month, basically just updating you guys. So again, if you don't want to miss any of that, don't forget to subscribe down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.